dead. This is a quote from Henry Jenkins, which I'm sure we've all found somewhere. We've chosen this to kind of tie our presentation together for two reasons. He's discussing, A, if an idea isn't kind of going to spread by itself, if the idea isn't worth it, it's going to be dead. And B, if it can't be fragmented, and this is a bit of a statement, which we're going to explore a bit, if it can't be fragmented and spread across multiple media platforms, is it worth producing?
Plus it's The Walking Dead, so...
It kind of works. Do you need the next slide? So, yes, media production trends, privileges, text, you can read that. Which brings us to, what's his name? The creator of The Walking Dead, or arguably the creator of The Walking Dead, Robert Kirkman. So he's what Christy Denner would probably call a super producer. So he started off as an illustrator and a writer. Now he's produced several episodes, written several episodes. So he started writing comics. Now he's changing, he's adaptable across mediums. And now he's one of the EPs for the TV show.
And that was kind of done in retrospect because Frank Darabont, who did The Green Mile, Shawshank Redemption, actually adapted the comic book for TV. And then when there was some creative differences and AMC kind of wanted to take it into a different direction than Frank perhaps wanted to take it, they brought in a different showrunner, and showrunner is like the person that runs the show.
The whole Transmedia, and like authorizes what else is going to be made and makes it official.
But they've gone through like 3, and the only real person that stayed throughout the whole process is Robert Kirkman. So many people see him as like the god figure because he has a control over the comic books and the TV series.
So there's different things that are expected of us, and there's different things that we, next slide, expect from media to us. Next slide. Cool. So this is kind of a rough design of the Walking Dead Transmedia world. Mike's going to start talking about the comic book and the TV series.
So it started as a comic book a number of years ago, and it had a little bit of a cult following, and Frank Darabont, like I said, came across and decided that he wanted to adapt it for TV. So initially it was strictly an adaptation, although even in its inception it did introduce several characters, or 2 characters that weren't in the comic book. Along when it really caught steam, it became more of an expanded universe. They introduced a lot of elements into the TV series that didn't exist within the comic book whatsoever. And they had to change the way the story was told. The comic book's very adult orientated. There are some scenes that don't translate from comics to TV series because of the rating. So the comic book, for example, features a lot more graphic violence. One of the characters in the comic book gets sexually assaulted in the TV series. If you watch it, it was toned down dramatically. It still had an impact, but they couldn't show it in as much graphic detail as the comic book medium affords them.
So they've been quite successful in using the affordances of each media to the best of its ability, and it is kind of the perfect concept for Transmedia because the entire world is changed, so they've got so many different things to explore. And also they've got so many themes of humanity that are universal, so they're hitting a lot of audiences there. So now we'll go on to the social media and The Talking Dead. So The Talking Dead is a weekly chat show that actually you kind of need to watch it to get the full story of the overarching narrative. Like what happened the other week?
Well, it's almost like it's a making of, but it allows, it's a talk show about the episode that has just been, so it's screened after the episode, and they bring in a lot of the writers, they bring in the crew, and they bring in the cast to talk about the series. And it actually allows them to expand the narrative of the story a little bit, because some things have to happen off screen. So that I won't ruin it for anybody that's not up to date, but there was one pivotal character that recently died, but it was shown off screen because it was too graphic to show. So this whole fan base thing came up. Is this person really dead? Did they get away the last minute? And it spilled over from social media, and it was actually addressed in The Talking Dead. Somebody rang in or tweeted the question, and the writers said, no, look, this character is actually dead. We just couldn't show it on screen.
So even the behind-the-scenes stuff is feeding into the narrative, even if it is in such a blunt way. Then they've also created StorySync, which is an app that essentially recognizes the fact that people are much more comfortable or much more inclined to use multiple screens when they're watching television. And instead of fighting this like TV's done for quite some time, they've just completely embraced it and said, hey, you're going to use this app, you can talk and interact with the show.
You can chat with other viewers about what's going on. You can vote on should this character have made the decision that they made live. So if the character makes, if somebody kills someone or somebody dies, are they really dead? Should they have done it? What do you think of so-and-so doing this?
Which helps the writers keep a finger on the pulse of how the audiences are feeling, which comes up a little bit later. They use social media more. I really enjoy the way that they use social media. I follow the Twitter and the Facebook. They're never promoting things too much. What they do is they give you they promote but with giveaways and things like that. So it's not just strict advertising. They'll remind you that something's going to be on, but then they've got the Fight the Living, which is a hashtag obviously designed to make everybody feel like they're part of something bigger.
I actually think they could have done a little bit more with social media. Like, I thought it would be really cool if you could stumble across like one of the main characters' Facebook pages before the outbreak to give like a little background story on what they were doing, and then it's like cut off at the point where the zombies like, something's going on outside, let me go check. And nothing's been updated since then. Or, Rick's like, oh, I'm going on patrol, blah, blah, blah. And then that he's gone, he's in a coma. So I think there was really an opportunity to do that. And they kind of touch upon it in the show because they always go what they've lost in the real world. So there's a huge focus on finding photos and stuff of, physical things that they can touch that connects them to what they had before. And I think it would have been cool if that kind of went into transmedia and the fans could see it as well. So and it just makes them more real people as well.
Then they've got video games, which have been hugely successful recently. Do you want to go to the next one? So, Walking Dead Survival Instinct basically follows Daryl before the first episode. So we've got some pre-story there. And we've got a quote here from Christy Denner, who is making a radio project online thing at the moment, which she was talking about the other day. And there's a lot of evidence that supports this notion of audio being a brilliant linking factor between the fragments. They use the same soundtrack between the game and the TV show. And if anybody's watched The Walking Dead, you know that the opening orchestral soundtrack. When you hear that, that's a visceral thing, and they're using that really well to link those two together.
And this game is actually deals about Daryl and Merle, who weren't in the comic books, so they were characters that were brought in to enhance the universe. And because they don't have that background story within the comic books, they decided to make the video game about these two brothers. So it leads right from the zombie, or a couple of days between the zombie outbreak, right into the first episode where we're actually introduced to the characters in the TV show. So it expands on it that way. There's also another video game that came out that is based, it's based in the comic book world, but it's purposefully done so it doesn't conflict with anything that happens in the TV series. So fans that are just familiar with the TV series can play this game, and it was even released like a TV series. So even though it was based on the original comic book, it's released episodically. So you sign up to it, you purchase it, and then a new mission or a new episode, they call them episodes, comes out weekly or fortnightly, and you play through it and play through the story. So it's presented like a TV series, even though it takes the graphic artwork style from the comic book.
Yeah. So again, they're playing with form to the best of their ability. Here we go. The game and the webisodes both lead to push do that. What's next? If anybody is familiar with are we running over time?
Yeah, you
Well,
finish what you're doing, but yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we'll just.
Okay, yeah, cool. Basically, this is the Bicycle Girl. They made a 6-part web series about her. She's one of the first zombies that we see. But the brilliant thing is that the web series came as more of an afterthought from the response to this particular zombie on social media and their other things.
Yeah, it became a meme, as you can see here, and it was one of the first zombies that you see in the series, so it was really had that impact on people. Yeah. And people wondered, what is her backstory? So they actually went and they created a 6-part webisode series that her name is Hannah. She's trying to rescue her kids, and it's a whole film, just like the TV series, released for free through their webpage.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Okay, so now we'll just quickly skim through things. All the slides are going to be up, so we do have some good points on how to, tips on how to...
We'll just touch on this one, I think, and we'll put it out there in the Transmedia so you can download the slide. But one of the coolest things that we found, was the AMC Zombie Academy. So it takes it a step further. It allows fans to join the Zombie Academy, learn to act like zombies, and actually be part of the TV series. So they've taken augmented reality, and they do zombie marathons and zombie obstacle courses at Comic-Con and stuff like that. And then the cream of the crop can be put into the TV series. So you can become a fan, go through the augmented reality, and then it comes full circle back to the TV series.
Cool. So, okay, we'll finish on this point. We've got a bunch more stuff to go through. It took a bit longer to get through all of their Transmedia than we intended. But something that we think is essential to Transmedia is the fact that it's not just about the fragments themselves, if you go to the next bit. It's about everything that fills in here. So all of the links that we've been talking about are really what make Transmedia, and this is kind of something that we touched on heaps in Integrated as well, isn't it? Like, the internet is just made of links. same with this kind of network. So yeah, as Christy Denner says, if you go back one, sorry, yeah, we're going into that. Yeah, so you know, it kind of lives in the players' minds more so than the fragments. We'll end on that. We've got a bunch more stuff on like financial stuff and comparing engagement with zombification. But yeah, you can check that out on the slides.
So your return to if it doesn't spread its dead, it's this point that, you know, the important stuff is the stuff in between.
Yeah,
That's
so
it.
it's almost like a virus. It needs to take the older school, you know, viral marketing, and then it's gone viral. That's really what it is. It needs to spread. It needs to catch on, and through it, they create a fan base. I mean, you see people wearing T-shirts, and in the States, they'll have like zombie parties to watch the latest episode. Everybody dresses up as their favorite character zombie. So it's really, and they interact through Twitter. They post the photos, then they'll be reposted, and it really becomes a whole experience that you can tap into. And one of the things that we touch on is just the ease of access through everything. You can be a fan of the video game and then be involved in that community. You can be a fan of the TV series, be involved in that community. Yeah. It is a much larger picture, but nothing is mutually exclusive. Even with the TV series and comic book, like there's two sets of fans. Some comic book fans hate the TV series because they're softer. You know, you don't go balls to the wall. You know, in the TV series, some fans love the TV series will never read the comic book.
But they've really nailed the balance between making it really fluid between everything.
Yeah, and they can all access the transmedia, so you can be a fan of either or, but enjoy the video game. It meets halfway.
Yeah.
Lovely, thank you guys.